What's going on YouTube? Wardo here. I'm coming back with another video about Christianity, about Jesus. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Bible. Today I want to talk about 3 myths in regards to reading the Bible and getting started reading the Bible. This is coming at more from somebody who might not have ever picked this book up, somebody that maybe has read it, in the past and put it down for whatever reason. Just trying to shed some light on what makes this such an enticing book to pick up and not put down when it comes to reading it. So, myth number 1 is you don't need to be a master at doctrine or some highly educated theologian to read the Bible. So, the King James version is more floral, for lack of a better word, in its writing. It uses a little bit more old world language, so to speak, which is sometimes harder to follow. I'm currently reading the Christian Standard Bible. It takes it and brings it into a more everyday language, so it's a little bit easier to follow. There's also, there's footnotes and everything, and it tells you, what that exact phrase means, or if you're a little bit confused at what that metaphor might mean or whatever, it really takes it and makes it a simpler version so you can follow along a lot better. When you look at, the first few apostles that Jesus picked, he picked fishermen. He didn't pick theologians or kings or philosophers. He picked the equivalent of that day of just a blue collar, just no frills, just hardworking guys that knew a lot about their craft, but might not have been well versed in a lot of educational things, so to speak. And that allowed them to cling to him so vividly. So if that's the kind of people that Jesus are after, he doesn't want the world getting muddied with its knowledge and its intelligence, so to speak. There's a clear divide, and Paul even says in his book to the church at Corinth, he says that for the word of the cross, the word of Jesus, is foolishness for those who are perishing, but is the power of God to us who are being saved. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will set aside the intelligence of the intelligent. So, you get to thinking about that, those in this world that are viewed as so wise, and maybe you had a college professor, or maybe you had somebody that talked about, well, how is it possible that Noah could fit every animal in the world and into a boat, 2 of them, and get saved from a flood that flooded the entire world? Or how could David have fought a 9-foot man when there are no archaeological proof of that? So that is worldly knowledge, worldly viewpoints trying to pick at what is written in here. So it is very clear that it's kind of a mask, so to speak, of the heart. And I feel like if you open your heart and not over convolute it with a lot of intellect and rhetoric, it really will read a lot differently than maybe what you're used to. The second myth is this is nothing more than a rule book, or this is some book of damning words to if you don't live this life, it's going to be fire and brimstone. But when you think about it, this is a book. This is a love story of God's love for his people. If you break it down, God loved the Israelites in the Old Testament, and despite their best efforts to shake him and to forsake him, he just continued to prove his love for them. And in the New Testament, it is nothing but Jesus' love for all people, specifically for the Jews at first, and then as it transitioned from the Gospels into the latter part of the New Testament, he spread it out to the Gentiles as well, to all the world that would listen, that he loves you. He wants to be with you, and that's what this is. And if you took that at nothing else, and that might be enough. But it's also got advice for money problems. It's got advice for everyday life. It's got poetry. It's got wisdom. So it's certainly not a do X, Y, and Z, or this, that, and the other thing is going to happen to you. There's some ramifications to some decisions in here, and there's some stuff in there in regards to that. But if you look at it through the lens of a love story, I think it will read a lot differently for you. So that's myth number 2. The final myth is it has to be read in a specific order. It has to be read from Genesis, the very beginning, page 1, all the way to Revelation at the end. And that's simply just not true. If you break it down into 3 basic sections, you have Genesis to Malachi. That's the Old Testament. It's basically, in a very simplified nutshell, Jesus is coming. And then if you look at the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's basically Jesus is here. Jesus is on the earth. All his miracles, what he said, what he did, how he loved us, how he died for us, his resurrection. Those are the 4 Gospels. And then you have Acts through Revelation, which is Jesus is coming back. He's coming back to take his people and spend eternity with them. So, there's 3 sections of the Bible. And so my advice to people just getting started is to start with the Gospel of John. And knowing in the previous myth that, to read it as a love story, just read the Gospel of John and ask yourself, what kind of guy is Jesus to me? And I think that if you do that, I think that you will find a very captivating person, a very captivating individual who lived an amazing life, who was perfect, and who did nothing but love everybody who was around. And once you do that, I think that it'll make you want to read the other parts and see what everything else is saying about him and what they said after him and before him. And if you just start with that, it'll spur you to want to read more, is my hope. So that's it. It's the 3 myths of what I think are the some of the pitfalls of getting into reading the Bible. And if you're still nervous, or kind of not know where to begin, there's this thing in the back of the Bible called a concordance. I don't know if it's in every Bible. It's certainly in this one. But a topical concordance basically is just a fancy way of saying if you want to read about a specific topic, you go to the back and it'll tell you where you can find that within the Bible. So if I want to really read about baptism, or I want to read about holiness, or fellowship, or flattery, I can go wherever it tells me to go there. Or I have this section here of where to turn, where to turn when you feel like giving up, where to turn when you feel like you're carrying a very heavy load, where there are troubles with your wife. There's a lot of things in here that are ultimately good, and it's certainly not a judge and jury in this book. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to this particular Bible down below. Like I said, it's the Christian Standard Bible. It's pretty inexpensive. I'll also put a link to you can buy just the Gospel of John if you want to start there and just see what, dip your foot in and see what it's like. There's that too, but there's also countless apps on your phone, and those have like 20 some versions written. So there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I think if you come at it with the right light, there's a little bit better way of receiving the word. So that's all I got today. I'll talk to you guys next time. I love you. Jesus loves you, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.